This application is primarily an organizational tool for you to use not just with Photoshop images, for anything you want it to be. That's why I like it. It's a very universal kind of program. It's not just for Adobe. It could be for anything you want. Documents, spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, whatever, you can organize them in Bridge and get to them. That's why I like this program. There are others out there that I use, like Lightroom. I love Lightroom. But Lightroom not only organizes, it does a lot of work to images. Now, Adobe has emphasized the fact that they want Bridge to be an organizational tool because they've begun removing some of the features that were in it, like the export features. But to me, it always has been and always will be my go-to program for organization. But that doesn't mean there aren't a few things we can do here. Let me show you one or two things, features, that we can do to images directly in Bridge without, say, going to Photoshop. For example, these images here are designed to be a panorama. That's our house taken at different angles so I can get a big stitched image. And you can see these down here. It's almost like they're put together. Let's do these. I'm going to select, and actually it starts up here, all of these images here. I want to put those together into a panorama. Now I could open them in Photoshop and do that, but if I go up to the word Tools on the pull-down menu and go down to Photoshop, you've got batch processing. That would be all the batch stuff you do in Photoshop you can do here. Contact sheet, lens correction, but go all the way down to Photo Merge. In Photo Merge, basically you've got these images. I'll just leave everything at default. It usually works pretty good if you do that. And then just simply click OK. Here we go. Well, there you go. One really weird looking panorama of our house. It looks foreshortened, but that sometimes happens. But it was done directly in Bridge. Let me go ahead and get out of here and go back to Bridge for a second. Another one I want to show you is Contact Sheet. I like this one. Let's select everything. Go back up to Tools and go down to Photoshop and select Contact Sheet 2. Now it's asking where the images are. There they are on Bridge. You can change that if you want to. How do you want this to look? 8 by 10 piece of paper, resolution, RGB color. You could change all of these options. How many across and down? Now we got 2 columns and 2 rows. Let's go ahead and say 3 columns and let's do 5 rows. Now you can say rotate for best fit if you want to do that. Use auto spacing, which usually is a good thing to do. Let's go ahead and use the name that we have as the caption, and then come up here and click OK. And there you go. Now it had to do 2 based on the number of images, and here's the first one. Now something like this I use and send, say, for example, to a client. And I've got like maybe 40 or 50 shots, and I say, which ones do you want? Circle the ones you want. At least that's why I use it. It was very popular. Adobe took it out for a while and then brought it back. Let's go back to Bridge real quick here. If you go to Tools, there are some pretty cool things under here. For example, if you merge to HDR Pro, now we talk about that in our class in Photoshop on photography, you have things like load files into Photoshop layers. Now think about that. If I select, say, this one through this one, and I double click, it will open those 3 images in Photoshop. But if I select those 3 and use that option, load Photoshop images into layers, it will use a layer for each one. And sometimes you have images you want to include into one Photoshop document, and that would be the perfect way to do it. Bridge is, and always will be, in my opinion, my go-to program for organization and controlling my images, my Microsoft Word documents, just about anything on my hard drive. Don't forget that you have this valuable program.